Growing outrage over a reported plan to give cold, hard cash to illegal border crossers. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Biden administration is in talks to pay up to $1 billion to illegal immigrant families separated at the border under former President Trump's zero tolerance policy, with each person set to get a payout of up to $450,000. Republicans say that plan cannot move forward.
First, you break the law, you get amnesty with Democrats. Now they're going to pay you for breaking the law. I mean, you think we have a problem in a caravan coming towards the border now and what we've seen over the last several months. Wait until the word gets out that you actually get paid for breaking the law to come into our country.
This incomprehensibly stupid idea of passing out up to $500,000 to people whose first act in this country was a violation of our law makes no sense at all.
That is going to be a slap in the face to every hardworking American who works hard and plays by the rules, and it'll especially be a slap in the face to people that have immigrated legally to this country.
Congressman Dan Crenshaw tweeting, for perspective, if a service member is killed in action, their next of kin gets an insurance payment of $400,000. Let that sink in. And dozens of House Republicans just sent a letter to 3 cabinet secretaries behind the reported plan demanding answers. Jesse, I'm guessing, because you brought this up yesterday, we weren't sure if it was the Babylon Bee or if it was real.
Yeah.
It's real, it sounds like.
Biden's border policy is written by the Babylon Bee. He pays you to break the law, and then he bails you out, remember, if you break the law. And didn't he also stop building the border wall and then build the border wall around his own house? Mm-hmm. And then he put the kids in cages, the same cages that he got mad at Trump for putting people in. Those happen to be the same cages he built when he was the VP. And so I think he spies on your bank account if you haven't broken the law.
That's
and then he puts $500,000 in your bank account for breaking the law. And then he fires you from work and then pays you not to work. And then he flies illegals into New York in the dead of night and says it's actually not the dead of the night. It's actually early in the morning. Oh, my God. This guy's already shattered the all-time American record for illegal entries, and then he blamed Trump for that. Now, there was a reason we all remember why we had to separate families, because Donald Trump was following the letter of the law. You cannot hold adults and minors in the same facility legally, and you can't hold minors for more than 21 days. Plus, you had to separate them to see if they were actually parents or if these were kids just getting trafficked, and it did have a very strong deterrent effect. Do you remember when there was a guy who came into the country, I think it was like 11 times illegally, and then murdered an American woman in a sanctuary city, Kate Steinle? She sued San Francisco and the federal government for damages.
Her family.
And the federal government wouldn't pay her. Mm-hmm. They said no, but they're going to pay an illegal to come over here. We've been separated from our families. We were told we couldn't see our grandparents. We couldn't see our parents. Right. We couldn't visit them in a nursing home. We couldn't say goodbye to them on their deathbeds. Couldn't hold a funeral. Couldn't go see them in church. What do we get? A check for $2,000? And these people come in here and they get $500,000? This is crazy. This is crazy.
And now it's time for a commercial break. No, I'm just kidding. Jessica, this is going to be really tough messaging if the administration stands by this.
I'm just putting it out there. I do not want this to be the lead message for the midterm elections. I would much rather
not a successful one.
No, definitely not. We'll see if it comes to pass. A lot of these things are proposals that exist, and they never actually come to fruition, and everybody gets hot and bothered about it, as we just heard, and then nothing happens. But it is important just to say that we had, 5,000 sets of parents or guardians, whoever, whether they were actually related to these kids or not, separated from them. And there are still 1,000 kids that we have not reunited them with their families. And that's something that sparked outrage on both sides of the aisle. No one wants that situation. And I believe there are 940 plaintiffs in total for these suits. And the ACLU, that's part of the lawsuit, has made it clear that it's only going to be a minority of the 940 that would even get any kind of settlement. Now, I'm not saying that I think that it's smart to go ahead with this, even particularly at this moment where we're exceptionally vulnerable anyway, but this isn't like thousands and thousands of people getting a $500,000 check.
Well, it's reparations.
Well, okay, but
a lot of people don't think reparations are bad things.
It's not reparations.
But wait, we've been told that the border is closed, but there will be those who argue this is going to be further incentive, because in these cases where they say there's a parent and a child, that's now up to close to $1 million per family. I mean, This is a very dangerous journey these people embark on. It's almost like we're putting them in like the most dangerous game show ever.
Who are you talking to?
People.
Oh.
You? Greg Jr.? Bad Greg?
I couldn't get
Who wants to answer? Do you want him to answer?
It's Halloween and I couldn't get a sitter. All right, so here's the deal. The whole key is, sorry, guy, you cannot allow this to be framed as Democrat versus Republican. You cannot allow this to be framed as an immigration question, and you cannot let this be framed about separation. This has nothing to do at all with immigration. So you don't want to get dragged down that hole. This is about draining the power of America, which is because this is so far left. There's a reason behind this. If illegals get $500,000 per illegal, we are done. Because that means they can keep doing this and keep doing this, and this is how you drain a country. You're basically opening up the drain. You're turning on the faucet, everything goes out. So the only solution is for us, Americans, to sue the government. We have to start suing the government over the perceived mistreatment of a Democratic White House. Or let's talk about the Afghanistan debacle. Surely there could be lawsuits over that. Let's talk about the response to the riots, right? We can sue the Democrat cities. How about inflation? How about the separation that you brought up? There are people who lost their loved ones who weren't them on the last moments. Yeah, they weren't there with the last moment. That is way worse than any of this crap. And this is crap because a lot of people were separated for the children's own good, and we can't forget that. But this is a bigger story about dismantling America. This is not about immigration. Because this is the craziest idea. It goes beyond that. I thought it was a joke. You were
right,
tweeting
yesterday.
You were reading it off Twitter, and I'm going, that can't be right. This sounds like something that you would get on a far-right website that you would have to check 100 times to see if it's true.
This is like ad libs for liberalism. How bad
Wall
could
Street
you get
Journal.
it?
So, Katie, are we incentivizing something that's incredibly dangerous for these people? Because what is the message then? Why wouldn't you? If you were in a desperate situation, whether it's economic or whatever persecution situation that you have coming here, why wouldn't you if you hear about this? Because already, all of our reporters who are down there talking to these caravans, the people say, we're coming because Joe Biden told us to come. That's their misperception of what's going on.
You're incentivizing an already multi-billion-dollar criminal cartel industry. And the Biden administration has done this on multiple levels, flying kids in the middle of the night to whoever they say are their relatives in the United States. They have no interest. They've taken away every single tool we have to disincentivize, as a disincentive not to break the law to come here illegally. And it's because Joe Biden said on the campaign trail that we can absorb 2 million new people a year. We're almost to that number now. They believe in this. But on the issue of the separation and paying people, families who were separated, the first thing I would say is it's a reflection of how the left feels about the American citizen, right? So if you're an American citizen and you commit a crime, you were separated from your family, and sometimes for a very long time, and sometimes they put you in prison. There is no money for that, and there shouldn't be, but this idea that people who break immigration law, come into the country illegally, breaking federal law, get a huge check of $450,000 to do so, nobody else gets to do that if you're a citizen. The other thing is there are tens of thousands of unaccompanied minors who are voluntarily separated from their parents in El Salvador, in Guatemala, and they were sent alone on this journey, and they were already separated. And so this is just, it's a way to, as Greg said, drain the system, but it's also a reflection of the disdain that the left has for the American taxpayer and how they think that you should be paying for rule breakers, not just inside the United States, but coming into the country as well.
How do illegals have standing to sue and reap all these damages? They don't have standing.
Well, it is their right. Legally, they are allowed to seek asylum here. That is part of our system.
Well, and
so
if
No,
they say,
but how do they have standing to sue for damages if they're not even citizens?
But if they say that they're here and they're being held against their will in a situation that is less than ideal, they're going to be able to sue over conditions. And they have a number of lawyers who have organized on their behalf.
So Gitmo detainees can sue.
Well, they've been convicted, and a lot
not
of
all
them
of them.
waiting. Well,
Not all of them.
But they
But
have
they didn't-
sued.
There's no justification
We
for
haven't
this.
paid.
And wait, but
Next, he's going to pay Gitmo.
They did not.
All right.
They did not fight their way into getting to Gitmo. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they fought their way up.
I mean,
Totally irrelevant.
Western
This is
Hemisphere.
not about separation. This is about something completely different.